You're on.
Sorry. Hello, everyone, and hello, you. The reverse that. Hello, you. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, so, okay, we're going back to where we were the last time.
What do
we
you
missed a day, but that's unavoidable at times since we're not on a strict schedule.
So it's a Tuesday instead of a Monday, but it's still the beginning of the week.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm talking about.
And
the book is called Ghetto Sketches 2021. And what I'm doing is reading from this book to perhaps get some people acquainted with the book and maybe with my work that might not be acquainted. Thank you, Herman, for your very kind, gracious note.
Herman Ellis.
It's so nice to, hear from friends who say, hey, I'm watching you read your stuff, man, and it's lousy.
He didn't say that. He said he really liked it.
No, he didn't say that.
Okay, yes, indeed. So, and I will take your note to him tonight.
Okay, here we go. As you know, I've gone from chapter to chapter, and
in chapter 6.
I'm on chapter 6. And the chapter is titled, I've titled each one of the chapters. This chapter is titled The Pink Lady Himself.
Ah, that's intriguing. Oh, let me quickly say that your books can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Local bookstore, just go in, ask for Odie Hawkins books, and they can pull them up and order one for you, or at Author House. Website is www.odiehawkins.com. Please continue, sir.
Okay, I'm glad you said all that. As we know, in the last chapter, we ended up with Bam and Baby Jones sitting on the front steps of Mr. Mayfield's house. Brother Mayfield doesn't take the Mr. too seriously. He just simply calls himself Mayflower.
Okay.
Has a nice touch to it. I'm opening up each chapter with a little bit of poetic prose. And for this one, I've had trip lightly, sweetheart, and take pride in the idea that you are one of the few flowers allowed to grow, develop, and blossom on the ghetto streets. Trip lightly, sweetheart, trip lightly. I'm sipping a really nice coffee from my Capoeira cup. I can assure you this is inspirational.
I know it
Not
is.
only that, it warms me.
I see the steam rising from the cup.
Mayflower cocks his ear cautiously toward his back door. Yes? Who is it? It's me, Miss Sweetfine. Bam. Mayflower places the lid on the pot of greens he's been stirring, touches the finger curls at his ears, and swishes to the door. Shorty PJ top opens at the navel. He opens the door halfway, poses seductively. Why are y'all coming to the back door? Must have stolen something. No ma'am, Baby June answers, scratching inside his face absently. We just peddling magazines to try to get through college. Can you dig this? He brings his other hand out from behind his back. Miss Moore's purse is in it. The social worker who was trying to help him get on. Baby! You know goddamn well I can dig it, June. I know exactly where you got that from. That's beside the point. Give me 20 for it. Mayflower's exuberance dies quickly and is replaced by a shrewd lady shopper look. I ain't got that much money to my name. Oh, come on now, sweet thing. This is us. You know damn well you got 20 bones. The thing is worth $60 or $70 at least, if not more. Bam pops in, giving Mayflower a dirty look. I'm not saying it ain't worth that much, Mayflower answers, dimpling a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying I ain't got that much. Tell you what, give her $15 and you got yourself an out of sight purse. Mayflower flutters his hands up to his chest, flattens his palms across his chest, and looks positively angelic. Bam, baby June, I swear on my dear mother's grave, I ain't got that. I ain't got $9. That's all the money I got in the world, for real. Oh shit, Mayflower. Bam spits out in total disgust. I ain't jive. You know I lost my little old gig. That's why that chick was here in the first place. Harvey told me what to do. Now you know if I had, all right. Don't go into your motherfucking act. Give us the $9 and save that fucked up story for somebody else. Wait here, be right back. Mayflower closes the door quickly and sweeps breathlessly through her small kitchen, checks the pot simmering on the back burner, reaches for a jar labeled cookies, pulls a wad of bills out and carefully peels 9s off of the roll. He turns back to the door, carefully composes his face, and opens the door, a little less this time. May baby, you know you getting the rest of this bargain. I guess you know that, don't you? Yeah, you really are, my girl. Mayflower delicately straps the purse onto her shoulder and counts the money out into baby June's hands, murmuring seductively as he does so, with a quick wink to Bam. Don't worry about it. I may be able to turn y'all onto something else nice one day. Can we count on it? Baby June asked sarcastically, reaching inside to pinch Mayflower's left nipple. Yes, we think, and we count on it, Bam asked, reaching for the other one. Mayflower playfully slaps their hands away and slowly closes the door. I swear for God, y'all just so vulgar sometimes, really. He stands against the door for a moment, smiling and admiring the person, then remembering the greens, minces a few steps to the stove, swinging the Sicilian purse against his side. Lubertha picks up, it's ricocheting from one apartment on the street to another, from one scene to another. So I want to get that straight.
It's a real neighborhood.
It's a neighborhood, right?
If you're a drone, you're seeing this part and that part. So.
You know, in my head, this is the sort of device I had in mind, that there would be some sort of drone that would be peeking in on different apartments as single things are happening. Lubertha picks up a pencil, scribbles a couple of words, erases one, sticks the pencil into her afro and sits back with her chin propped on her fists. Her contemplative mood is broken by the sound of the front door opening and being slammed shut, followed seconds later by a gruff baritone. Lubertha! You gonna stand there scribbling all night? Or you gonna come in here and eat with us like people? I'm coming, Daddy. Lubertha calls back with a tolerant smile on her face, scribbles a couple of more final words, stacks her pages into a neat pile, and with obvious reluctance strolls into the family dining room kitchen. Mr. Ed Franklin, robust, scruffy, top lip framed by a thick walrus-shaped mustache, sits at the head of a small round dinette table, wolfing down spaghetti, meatballs, and round, medium-sized pieces of hot water cornbread. He pauses in his eating to glare up at Lubertha. Well, you gonna sit down and eat or just stand up there in a daze? Act like you've been smoking them funny cigarettes sometime, don't you, Charlie? Better not let me ever catch you with one of them things in your mouth. He's an authoritarian.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Franklin's comments occur between mouthfuls of food washed down with great Kool-Aid. He is completely humorless, and it shows in the bitter lines creasing the sides of his mouth. Lubertha sits. Mrs. Franklin pops up and down, flipping whole cakes of cornbread over. Lubertha pours herself a half glass of Kool-Aid and nibbles on a piece of cornbread.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Franklin looks at her suspiciously. That all you eating? I had a big lunch at work today, Daddy. That ain't no excuse, he tells her, spearing the last meatball on his plate. When I was growing up, we ate everything that was put on in front of us and was glad to get it, because there wasn't no telling when the next meal was going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
Guess Lubertha's trying to save her shape here. Mr. Franklin comes in obliquely with a snide wink to Lubertha.
Mm-hmm.
Too skinny now. That's what's wrong with these young'uns these days. Take everything for granted. Wouldn't be trying to save her shape if there wasn't no food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it up, and she ain't gonna have no body, let alone a shape. You look like a sack of bones in that little short dress.
Mm-hmm.
Lubertha rolls her eyes to the ceiling in a brief, helpless gesture as her father dries his mustache off and fishes into his shirt pocket for his cigarettes. Oh, Daddy, I just remembered, Mr. Smith told me yesterday to remind you that you all have a bowling date Friday. If he can get out of the house, you mean. Mrs. Franklin bustles around the kitchen, clearing dishes from the table, taking little cleaning swipes at the refrigerator, the kitchen sink. Any place seems to harbor a smudge or a stray crumb. Familiar?
Mm-hmm. The housekeeper, the woman, wants to take care of her home. Hey.
Lubertha, you going out tonight? Mrs. Franklin asked, swiping at a stray crumb in front of Lubertha. Just out to the club for a while. Mr. Franklin, after lighting his after-dinner cigarette, frowns through the haze of his first puff. What's all this club stuff? So I've been out here for the last month or so. Club this, club that. What club? Well, we had a creative writing club in school, and when we all graduated, some of us decided to organize a group of our own. You know, people who are really interested in writing. Old Man Adams is letting us use his storefront till we find something better. Mr. Franklin gives Lubertha an intensely skeptical look and seemed to be on the verge of going off into a number when the doorbell rings. Lubertha hurriedly gulps the last of her Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
And hurries away to answer the door. Ed Franklin sits at the table, frowning and smoking, as Mrs. Franklin wraps up leftovers in tinfoil. A couple of minutes later, Lubertha shyly leads Kwendi Jones in, little fingers interlocked.
Mm-hmm.
Mama, Daddy, this is Kwendi Jones. Mrs. Franklin nods pleasantly, but in a deadly serious, boy, I got my eye on you look.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Franklin, looking up suspiciously from Kwendi's sandals to his dashiki, to his neatly trimmed Van Dyke, reaches out to shake his hand. Kwendi performs the ritual on it.
Upgraded handshake. Okay.
Ed Franklin looks displeased and puzzled. Charlotte Franklin hides a quick smile behind her head and behind her hand and asks Kwendi, would you give a bite to eat, Kwanjo? Kwendi, Mama. Kwendi.
Mm-hmm.
Kwendi shoots Lubertha a small rap on the knuckles. Look, no thank you, Mr. Franklin. I ate a little while ago. Lubertha takes a glance at the crease in her father's forehead, turns to Kwendi. What time does the workshop start tonight? 8 o'clock. We better be going then. It wouldn't do for the man in charge to be late, would it? I got a new poem. Be ready in a minute. Kwendi smiles uneasily at Mr. Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Franklin orders gruffly. Say that again.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. You know the drill.
I know the drill. He is a father. He is not a daddy.
Hey, we can talk about that difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know how these women are. You know all that bush Lubertha has on her head these days. She's going to have to play with it for a while. Mrs. Franklin discreetly makes her disappearance, taking another quick, objective look at Kwendi. The two men sit across from each other awkwardly, Kwendi drumming his nails lightly on the tabletop. Mr. Franklin lights another cigarette, offers Kwendi one. He nods no. Kwendi. What kind of name is that? Is that what your parents named you? Kwendi squirms slightly, looks directly into Mr. Franklin's bushy eyebrows. It's an African name, Mr. Franklin. No, my parents didn't give it to me. Well, Mr. Franklin leans across the table aggressively, tin dragging streams of smoke blowing from his nostrils. How come you go around calling yourself something your mother and father didn't name you? I notice a lot of you young folks doing things like that, changing names and whatnot. Lubertha was talking about. Kwendi interrupts smoothly. Like, maybe it's just that we feel that it's close to where we are at. What that mean? Mr. Franklin asks, cigarette bristling from his mustache. What you mean? Where you at? You're in the United States of America, young man. And it don't make sense to add any more confusion to what we already got with different names and stuff. Kwendi's jaw muscles twitch slightly as he folds his arms on his table. Look at it this way, Mr. Franklin. I'm not talking about geographical location. I'm talking about where I feel my soul comes from, which is a far, far different place that the white power structure here has ever wanted it to be. Mr. Franklin sits back slowly in his chair, his temper obviously threatened to overwhelm him. Hell, sounds like to me, Lubertha lurking just behind the kitchen sails in her father's developing anger act as a cue. Kwendi, I'm ready. We better get before it's too late. Let's go.
Go. Quick. Get out the door. Bye.
Mr. Franklin grumbles incoherently into his mustache as Kwendi shakes his hand again, straight out all time this time, and nods good night to Mrs. Franklin, who quietly materializes. I hope we can continue our conversation again some other time, Mr. Franklin. Good night, Miss Franklin. Good night, Kwendi. Y'all be careful now. If Lubertha don't be out too late, you hear? Don't worry, Mama. I'll be home right after the club meeting. She pecks her father affectionately on the cheek. He nods grumpily, looking like black father in the Ghetto mean. Lubertha and Kwendi split.
Quickly.
Mr. Franklin goes to the fridge, pulls out a brew, pops the top, and sits back at his table, placing the table looking moody. I don't too much like these smart aleck types that girls run around with these days. Too quick to give you a lot of lip, he blurts out. Mrs. Franklin wraps her arms around his neck. She's 18, going on 19 is. Ain't too much can be said about who her friend should be. Lubertha's a good girl. Kwendi doesn't seem like too bad a young man. A little bit hairy about the gills, but that's the way young folks seem to be these days. I remember when nobody but my granddaddy had as many chin whiskers as some of these youngsters got. Smart Alex, that's what they are. Plain old English names ain't good enough for them. They got to go to the African dictionary or somewhere to get a name. Mrs. Franklin breaks her embrace, begins running water into the sink to wash dishes. What it is, baby. What it is.
Mm-hmm.
In the apartment above Big Mama's second floor front, Nathan Holt slouches in his easy chair, his favorite easy chair, slippered feet propped up on a worn ottoman, his features glazed by the glaring light of the portable television directly in front of him. The soft slurpy sound of Liberace playing Rachmaninoff second gradually begins to drown out the mellow. Don't do that. You do.
The Liberace just playing. Just. Okay, go ahead.
Look like when Liberace there from the
Yeah.
rocking back and forth.
I know.
The soft slurpy sound of Liberace playing with Rachmaninoff second gradually begins to drown out the mellow tenor of the sports announcer on the television. Nathan Holt looks over his shoulder in the direction of the sounds, an annoyed as hell expression pulling his bottom lip down. Diane! Diane! Why you have to turn that junk up so loud, man? Can't even hit a baseball game. Damn. Diane Holt pops into the doorway, leading into the front room, an Afro-downer, wrapped stylish about her well-straightened hair. Nathan Holt, it's a shame how uncouth you can be at times. This junk, as you called it, is the Tchaikovsky fifth.
Mm.
She doesn't know which one it is.
Right, okay, right. Yeah.
If you were to take your eyeballs and ears out of that idiot box for a hot minute and pay attention to the announcer goes off into an excited 3 balls, 2 strikes on the batter thing, building to a climactic ending. Brother Holt suddenly stands up near his chair in a threatening way, although his eyes never leave the TV set. Diane, I'm telling you, woman, go on back in there and turn that junk down. It's the last half of the ninth. Bases loaded and Frank Mays is up to bat. I call it junk and I mean junk.
Mm-hmm.
Diane Holt moves back slightly, blown by the strength of her husband's voice, pouting.
Mm-hmm.
She turns away from him in a huff, mumbling to herself as she returns to the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Uncouth. You hear what I'm saying? Uncouth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nathan Holt remains standing, long muscular arms hanging loosely, his face lit by a pleased smile as the music from the other room goes down, and the hometown announcer screams hysterically, Frank Mays! Frank Mays! Frank Mays has just pulled a tremendous shot into the center field fans. Sports fans, a really tremendous shot. With a count of 3 and 2 bases loaded and 2 down, he socked one out of the park. Well, that wraps it up, folks. Final score, 6-3, the Giants. Nathan remains glued hypnotically to the spot, watching and studiously listening to a banalized recitation of batting averages, comparison between hitting fielders and fielding pitchers, and all of the other miscellaneous information dished out to the diet of the rural baseball fan after the game.
Mm-hmm.
Finally satisfied that he has all of the latest dope, Nathan steps to the set, flicks around the channels, finds nothing to hold his interest, and flicks it off. As the television flicks off, the sound of clashing cymbals and crashing cannons comes up. Probably the Tchaikovsky fifth. Mm-hmm. Brother Holt sprawls back in his chair, his head thrown back, and an amused expression on his face. Diane! He calls above the sounds. A petulant voice answers him. What do you want? Bring me a brew, will you, baby? Why don't you come in and get it yourself? I'm busy cooking. The boys will be home in a few minutes. Nathan booms back in a louder than necessary voice. I would come in there, but it seems like I'd get blown away before I made it through the doorway. What the hell are you listening to? What did you say? I said, what the hell is that? Diane Holt appears with a cold can of beer. That's Tchaikovsky, baby. You like it? Listen. That's the interim right there. Thanks. It's okay. I guess that's what you like. She take a quick sip of his brew. I have a lot of writing, sipping cues in this thing, right?
Enjoy.
She take a quick sip of his brew and starts back into the kitchen. Baby, he sings out to her in a smooth baritone. What is that you cooking? Smells better than sin. Gumbo, she answers curtly. It'll be done in a few minutes, and continues stepping. He calls her to pause again. Baby. Yes, Nathan, what now? Baby, you mind turning that stuff down a little bit more? I can really dig where it's coming from. Believe me. But it don't have to be as loud as that to let me know it. Diane walks on scowling, but within a next minute the sound slides down a few decibels. Nathan Holt sips his brew. And picks up a nearby newspaper, turns to the sports page. Dedicated sports fan.
Of course.
Byron Holt clumps up the steps, unlocks the door, and walks in between his father slouched down, reading the newspaper and the television set. Father Holt rustles his newspaper down and glares up fiercely at his number 2 son. God damn it, Byron, don't you speak to folks when you come in the house? Just like your mama. So far off into the eyebrow thing, you just forget about common courtesy. Sorry, Dad, I thought you were reading. Yeah, Mom, it's me, he answered, trying to evade his father's eyes. Come on in here. Let me give you a little taste of this. Byron turns quickly, gratefully from his father's glare, and lumbers into the kitchen. Mother Holt holds a wooden spoon up for him to taste. That's all in sight, Mom. How much longer will it take? About another 15 minutes. The front door is jerked open to Perry Holt, son number 1.
Number 1
He
son.
bounces over, standing in front of his father. Who won the game? He answers. He asks breathlessly. Nathan Holt lowers the paper slowly, revealing a wide. He lowers the paper slowly, revealing a wide smile. You know the Eagles didn't, and there was but 2 teams playing. Now I just leave it to you to guess. Perry digs down into his pocket with mock tragedy stamped on his face and slams $2 bills into his father's outstretched hand. Thank you, old bean. Better next time. Better luck next time. Nate, set up the card table in there and we can eat in the front room. Nathan and son immediately push the television off to one side and pull out the legs of a nearby coffee table. Byron bumps through the hall with the chicken, through the kitchen, from the kitchen with 2 chairs, nod to his brother. Perry brings 2 more out of their bedroom. The men sit down at the table eagerly. Perry and father talking sports. Byron half listening, bored. I'll bet you $5 the Giants won't be able to go all the way. As long as Frank Mays can keep that streak going on and old Vitamin Blue keeps a lot of stuff on the ball, they go all the way. Mark my words. Diane Holt trips in with 3 bowls and spoons, returns with a large uncovered serving bowl brimming. I like that. With
Thank you.
savory gumbo. Conversation ceases as the men get down. Diane brings in another brew to her husband, a large bottle of red soda pop for herself and the boys. Sits briefly, and remembering returns to the kitchen for a king-size box of saltine crackers. I remember the scene from my Aunt Mamie, who was always cooking, and she was always hopping up from the table to go get something else that
Yes,
you do.
yeah, that's what we do.
Especially with the gumbo. I forgot to get something operatic spools itself from the AM, FM radio in the kitchen. Hey, baby, what's he singing about? Nathan asked his wife, winking to Perry's. Diane paused with a spoon halfway to her mouth, cocked her head to the sound expertly, and announces grandly, "That's Bocelli. He's singing about a lot of things." That was, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. That was Pavarotti. He sings about a lot of things.
Okay.
Pavarotti wasn't around at the time.
There you go.
So is Muddy Waters. Why don't you listen to him? At least you be able to figure out what he's singing about. Diane Holt rolls her eyes at her man and shakes her head fiercely. "I've been listening to Muddy Waters all my life, and all the rest of all the rest of them. And you know, I think we need to get into a higher, different level of things. Can't go no higher than Muddy, baby." "Not only that, Mama," Perry breaks in. "Muddy is black culture nationalism. And today, especially today, we need all that we can get." The table is momentarily stricken. Nathan Holt looks at Perry as though he had poured a glass of ice water over his head. Mrs. Holt, looking vaguely puzzled, starts away from the table. "Anybody want anything while I'm in the kitchen?" Man, you know something? Byron points an emphatic forefinger at his brother. "That's all you and Abdul, Ojinkasi, Kwendi, and the rest of you dudes be talking about. Cultural nationalism. Black this and brother that and all the rest of this trip y'all be going on. But I don't see anybody doing anything but talking, just talking. That's all I hear is talk. Y'all got a slogan for everything. I get tired of hearing it myself." "Oh, come on, bruh. I wonder where your head is sometimes. If you come to your true self and really recognize what blackness really is, dig it. I hear y'all talking about blackness, black unity, black love, black us and all that. But you know yourself that mama or any other woman in this neighborhood can't even walk around the block by herself without running the risk of being knocked in the head or worse. If y'all really meant what you were saying, none of us would ever have to be afraid of getting ripped off, not in any black neighborhood anyway. Shut up, you two, and eat your dinner.
Oops.
I didn't fix gumbo for y'all to sit up in here and argue over it." Perry, anxious to get his point in, ignores his mother. "I bet you one of those integration-minded brothers, who'd like to see Whitey in control. His Father Holt jaw muscles freeze as he stares huge daggers through Perry's head. His words are even and cold. "Your mother says, shut up, son. Didn't you hear?"
Better now.
Your mother, wait a minute.
Better now.
Your mother said, shut up, son. Didn't you hear? The eating is resumed in strained silence. "Bye, did you say you wanted to go to the concert with me?" Byron glares fiercely, defiantly at his brother. "Yeah, Mama, I'm going with you." Nathan Holt slurps a happy spoonful of good gumbo through his jibs. Good nature returned. "Y'all better hurry if you don't want to be late. What you do, Diane? Give you some more of them music appreciation concert tickets?" Mrs. Rossini did give me some concert tickets, and they are not music appreciation tickets. They're real tickets to a real concert. And furthermore, if you ask me, I think we all should be going. Nathan Holt checks his wife out with a sarcastically raised eyebrow.
Well, that's not going to happen.
I went with you over to St. Luke's First African Presbyterian to listen to them sedity niggas sing mixed spirituals like they had sticks up their butts. That was bad enough. I'll be damned if I go listen to the real thing. You're gonna have to wait a while longer for me to start playing white folks. I ain't been a nigga 46 years for nothing. I sure as hell wouldn't want to waste all that hard training go to waste. Nathan Holt, I swear to God, sometimes you better get on, baby. It's just about, we're going to get to be 8 now. And I know the daggone thing probably starts at 8:30 the way all them things do. It wouldn't do for 2 boots to stroll in late. Diane Holt looked at her husband as devastated. She crumbles a final cracker up in her gumbo, gives her spoon a neat twist, flicks it to her mouth, and gets up in a rush. Hurry, Vi. Your dad's right for once. Why don't you wear that tie Iris gave you for Christmas? Perry and his father exchange knowing smiles as they watch Byron squirm away from the table, the frown creasing his face. Diane Holt disappears into her bedroom, Byron into his. The Holts, father and son, sit at the table lounging. Father Holt pulls out a pack of cigarettes, stifles a belch, and passes the pack to his son. Go on, boy. I know you're smoking.
There you go. There you go.
Mama found a pack in your jacket pocket the other day. You gotta be careful with cigarette though. With that tobacco, it'll cut your wind if you smoke too much. Perry, with a sheepish little grin, takes a cigarette and lights up. They sit at the table, belly full, smoking, talking sports talk.
Good gumbo, yeah.
If you could have seen Sugar Ray in his prime, I'm telling you, he was something else. Used to lay him out dancing backwards with his left hand. Closest thing they've ever come to him is Muhammad Ali. Yeah, I've seen some old fight films of Sugar Ray. He really was a bad dude. Diane Holt reappears, a bizarre little hat tilted off to one side of her head, gives Perry a cigarette, the disapproving look, and pecks the old man on the cheek. I got a peach cobbler in the stove if he wants some dessert. Oh, and Nate, don't leave those dirty dishes on the table. You know how bad these roaches are. Perry, you hear me? Put them in the sink and run some hot water on them. And go on, woman, go on. Get out of here and go to your concerto. Go ahead on. All right, I'm going. I just thought Nathan Holt turns smoothly, curls his arm around his woman's waist. Go on, honey. Y'all have a good time listening to the white folks' music. Us niggas will stay home and clean up. Don't worry about a thing. Nathan, I don't know what to do about you sometimes. Bye. Come on, boy. We're going to be late as it is. Byron slouches out of the boy's bedroom, a vulgar, out-of-fashion tie knotted around his neck and a pair of new, unbroken-in shoes on his feet.
Oh, it's a bad evening.
He waves coolly to his father and brother on the way out. Brother gives him an exaggerated black power salute.
All that. A bit more.
Father Holt simply shakes his head from side to side, looking theatrically sad. The two of them sit quietly at the table, listening to the concert goers' footsteps going down the stairs, and then uncontrollably they begin to snicker softly to each other. And finally, unable to hold it down,
They died laughing.
they hope.
No, they did. That's so sad.
Our black representatives to the white artists. They sit chuckling away for a few seconds, the laughter slowly fading. Father played out, wiping tears away from the corners of his eyes.
I bet.
The last bit of humor in the situation drains and then replays itself for a few more spontaneous ha-ha-has. I got to do some homework, Dad. I'm falling a little bit behind in my math. Yeah, you got to keep the grades up. You could be batting 1,000, and they still wouldn't give you a scholarship or nothing for that matter. Not if you can't crack them books. Right on. Well, I'm off into it. Perry goes to the kitchen for a glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
Wanders his way to his shared bedroom, puffing on the fag end of his cigarette.
Mm.
Father Holt takes the dishes into the kitchen, turns the radio off with a quick, vengeful twist,
Mm-hmm.
takes another brew from the refrigerator and turns to his easy chair.
Ah.
He sips
Mm-hmm.
and thumbs through the sports page, half reading, half dozing,
Mm.
and then half listening after a while to weird sounds seemingly come from several different directions at once.
Mm-hmm.
Father looks up from the newspaper to the kitchen, puzzled, pads into the kitchen to reassure himself that the radio is off, checks it, leaves the kitchen, frowning, tiptoes over to Perry and Byron's bedroom door and listens closely for a minute. Perry? Yeah, Daddy? Mr. Holt opens the door, a cautious 6 inches, wrinkling his nose up at the heavy smell of sandalwood incense.
Mm-hmm.
What's that you listen to, son? Oh, that's your Chihuahua Dusplier playing a thing called Interplanetary Discussions.
Mm. From one spectrum to the other. Way out there.
You got that right. Who's doing what? It's a CD by Chihuahua Dusplier called Interplanetary Discussions.
Poor Daddy.
I picture Sunwa and Thelonious Monk playing a duo together.
Yes, yes.
Father Holt slowly closes the door, lips forming a large oh. He returns to his easy chair, sipping his brew, looking puzzled and frowning as he mumbles savagely to himself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ain't that a bitch?
Mm-hmm.
A damn CD named Interplanetary Discussions.
Mm-hmm.
He shakes the wrinkles out of his newspaper and reads on, squinting at the news slightly more than necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna leave that family alone for a minute. Because Lord knows they got a problem.
Oh,
You know what, Zola, we've been going through some things with in discussions about our relatives and
Mm-hmm.
people at 84 going on 85 and at 72. We
72.
sort of bridge certain kinds of generational things,
Mm-hmm.
especially coming from where we come from. You from your middle class background with religiosity and not coming from my particular background with no anything,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. But when you begin to try to compose something about what these people did, and this is what I'm trying to do a lot of here,
Yes.
you find yourself
Mm-hmm.
marveling at the fact that there was so much diversity going on.
Oh, always. You know, and so consequently, when you see the old movies that would talk about, what was A Raisin in the Sun. Okay, not to bring that up, but since Sydney died not long this week or whatever, recently, that there was much more complexity
Yeah, that's
in the family than
that's exactly what the
that's
word.
portrayed in that. Okay, even with what's his face?
Sidney Poitier?
No, the one that got out of prison.
Who?
Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
Okay, with the Huxtables.
Yeah.
You know, there you also would end up having, you know, a margin, you know, type of thing that, no, the family, you know, their arguments were not arguments, or was it the blacks, the newest thing, something about blacks, blackish.
Blackish.
Okay.
Black, yeah.
Well, one thing that I, as a mother, and raised old school, 73 years, we didn't have no back talking. Okay. And I find that offensive because I think that's teaching our children, or teaching
sure.
children in
Without a
general,
doubt.
that it's
Without a
okay to back talk. You know, we'd be slapped into tomorrow.
Okay, what was your favorite thing?
My grandmother,
Who said,
but
I can't hit you, but the police can shoot you?
well, this is it. Yeah, that my favorite thing is that I can't spank you, but the police can kill you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll put you in
What I don't
jail.
think a lot of people understand, specifically black people, specifically black people. I don't know any other cultural group, I think, as well as I know our own group.
Right.
And coming from this place that we're talking about, I find it very interesting when you look back and find that some of the law keepers, the law keepers, I call them, the aunties and uncles and people who surrounded you with perimeters, what they call it nowadays?
The village.
The village.
Yes.
Who would say things like, no, you can't do that. And maybe if you did it, that would make you such an outlaw thing that the family might be dishonored. I'm going to bring up something that might be controversial, but who gives a shit? I look at our brother in Florida. I look at our brother in Florida, the current Surgeon General. And it's very interesting when you do research about him, which you've done. We find that not one member of his family is listed. Well, he has pictures of his wife and children and the wife's name, but I've never, not in the history of my life, have I heard of a black man who was successfully making $500,000 a year, for $200,000 from one gig and $200,000 from the Surgeon General gig. I've never heard of anybody who had that much money come in, who had relatives who didn't want to be known.
Right. You know, even the stars and individuals who had differences with their parents, you at least knew, or you at least know who their parents are. You know, the Williams sisters, you know, the Jackson Five, okay, all that. You know, they had, you know, problems with being raised with their parents, but at least you knew the names of their parents.
You were aware they did exist.
Right, you know,
in Ladapo's instance, in Ladapo's case, it's almost unheard of for a man to be in that position, a black man to be in that position, and he is a black man.
Right, without saying.
To be in that position and not have some gleaming photo of his mother and his father.
Thanking mommy, daddy for helping me become who I am now.
Okay, the reason I suspect is that they are really ashamed of him.
It may be.
Because of the fact he's promoting policies by the governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, who is basically genociding black people because they are the people who are disproportionately being affected by
the COVID.
By the latest variant and so forth. So, harking back to the Holt family for a minute, I wanted to try to ensemble a family unit that had diverse opinions within it, but at the end of the day, when the father says to his favorite son, didn't you hear what your mother said?
Exactly, and the way he said it was clear.
Yeah, I remember that distinctly. You know, when an uncle who was not known to be severe and have authoritarian tendencies might say something like, "Now you talking back? Are you talking back? You sassing your mama?" No, that's
have the earth open up and swallow you, because that's the safest place for you to be.
Okay, I believe, this is my feeling about it, that the white understanding of it takes a village, and I'm quoting Hillary Clinton, who got it from wherever she got it from, or when they were talking about it takes a village to raise a child, I get the feeling that they want to establish is something benevolent, something sweet, something charming, so forth and so on.
No.
we didn't understand that coming from where I'm coming from. You can speak for yourself.
Right.
But coming from where I'm coming from, it meant that the village was telling you, here are where the dangers are. Here where the dark places are. In Chicago, if you grew up on Washburn Avenue, which is where this place is taking, where the scene is taking place mostly, the people who were responsible for being considered village elders would say, now you know you shouldn't be going across Roosevelt Road after dark, because them Dagos will do something to you.
Yeah.
That's when racism was
on the top of the table, yes, it's on the table.
I mean, you know, oh man, you're talking about apartheid. The Italians live over there, the Poles live over there, the Lithuanians, and if you go into those places after a certain hour, maybe even before a certain hour, you might be killed. They had a case of a couple of young black kids who riding their bikes somewhere and went through some Irish section, they stomped them to death. This is a back wind, but it ain't so far away. Anyway, the sense of what I'm trying to get at with chapters like this, aside from identifying people who had other sexual orientations other than heterosexual, that's Mayflower, and with the lenient, you know,
acceptance,
laissez-faire message was, well, that's his business. Your sex life is your business. It wasn't like somebody from the authoritarian right saying, you can't be that or you can't be this. In our neighborhood, we say you can be anything you want to, you know, just don't mess with nobody.
I think, you know, that's one of the things that I value with California, perhaps Chicago and the other areas that are so compact and have, you know, issues when it gets cold so people don't get out, what have you. That with California, you end up forming these villages in a sense, like, you know, our Tai Chi family with Master Tom, I think, you know, sort of like a dear uncle that, you know, and his wife be a dear aunt that you care about, and so that, you know, you could always concern for these people that come into your life, folks that at work.
Is that why all these people are calling you up? Hey, wait.
In my work family, in my Tai Chi family, my Capoeira family. Okay,
well, I mean, your family, period, you know.
And my family, yes. Yeah. But, you know, it's also sincere appreciation for those individuals, like people I've met through you, like Eve and Cedric and others that are very special. Susan.
Oh my gosh.
Susan Martinek, Susan Frierson from work. You know, they just stay special in my heart.
Okay, yeah. You know, but I once heard it said that we're talking about people who had been married and got divorced and became friendly with the people that been divorced, and and so the ring
keeps getting wider.
Widening, so you wind up with, okay, you've had 3 marriages, which meant that you've been involved with 3 family circles, and some of the people in those family circles like you and want to get along with you, so... They
always say, you'll always be my brother-in-law, right?
So, from the second marriage.
Right, yeah.
But the guy in the third marriage say, I hate you. So you get to be that kind of way.
Yeah.
But no, you're right, it's so complex.
But I think this openness helps, that, you know, the sunshine, the diversity of cultures here in California, makes it more easier. You know, I haven't only traveled to Mexico and Africa, but the acceptance of each individual, I think you find.
Well, I tell you, from having been in Africa, in Ghana specifically, there's especially in some sections of Africa, the tribal thing is so clannish and so close.
There you go.
That you don't have that. The greatest witness of it is when they had the Hutu and Watusi slaughters back in Rwanda back in the day.
Right.
But in Ghana, for example, they seem to have solved what might be considered a racial problem here would be considered a tribal problem there.
Right.
They managed to just simply fold it in by intermarrying.
Right.
Jerry Rawlins, who was the president of Ghana for two terms, for 2 different cycles, had a Scotch father I believe, and an Eve mother, or his wife was an Eve.
Okay.
Okay, our friend Susan Amagashi's father is, I believe, is Eve, and she is the daughter of a English woman from Bath, England. But it goes beyond that because you got people who are Ga people who are married to trees. The trees have married the Adambes, Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, 1957, was an Nzema man. I didn't know what an Nzema man was. I still don't know.
I wonder if that's the same case that people have here with the Native Americans. That the different, because
I'm Ojibwe. We are Choctaw, African American, and you go on and name the rest of it. In my family, there's the African American, Cherokee. They've identified it. You know, my grandmother sits there on my thing. So they managed to weave it in without making a big deal about it. You know, and in each one of these cultures that we're talking about, you're talking about people with very strict family norms.
Yeah.
You behave in a certain way. Okay. As you say.
It's old school. Across the board. It's old school.
You call it old school. I'll buy that. But it had other schools to it too. You know.
Not like the back of the head. I like that thing.
That was a karate chop. They haven't affected in any school I've been to. I've been a Hapkido man. I've been a Taekwondo man. Nobody's ever come up to me and done what my mother could do with the back of my head when I was in misbehaving. I do it in slow motion, back in your head, and then it clocks you. Just what did you do?
You got whiplash.
Front whiplash, not the back.
Yeah, enough. Indeed. Well, we hope you enjoyed this reading of Chapter 6.
We've got a lot more coming, I'm telling you.
Yes, that is 2021. Please leave your comments if you like our YouTube channel, which is sort of a pan-chan of a this and a that.
Can I make just one little caveat?
Yes, please.
I would like to say to those who might be listening, who might consider, we are not considering ourselves arbiters of social conduct or sociological engraved in stone teachers. What we're suggesting is that the experience of our own lives informs what it is we're doing.
We are the elders of this community.
You got to believe it.
All right.
Baby.
So, see you next time on our YouTube channel. Please, if you have a comment, please leave it. And join us with Capoeira, our readings, and all kinds of fun.
Get yourself a Capoeira cup and start drinking.
Amen. Do the jinga, do the jinga, and itness.
Itness. See you later.